resounding message that we do have a crime problem. Blocking this D.C. crime bill keeps things from getting even worse. But a lot more work remains for us to do if we're going to actually reverse the violent crime trend here in America. Not only do jurisdictions across the country need to eliminate soft on crime laws and policies that lead to this catch and release of violent criminals, we need to recognize the vital, positive role that law enforcement officers play in our communities, keeping us safe. The lawlessness and sense of unease that we're witnessing in our nation's capital and in cities across the country indicates that we need more, not less law enforcement. And we need to make certain that tough on crime policies are put in place that will thwart bad actors and will allow law enforcement officers to do their job. This resolution of disapproval has raised the debate on D.C. statehood as well. I'm grateful that President Biden and so many of my Senate colleagues on the other side of the aisle have now recognized that under the Constitution, Congress plays an important and unique role in the governance of the District of Columbia. And thankfully, the Constitution provides this role. Today's vote demonstrates overwhelming agreement that the D.C. crime bill is a bad idea. It seems to me that D.C. is trying to compete with other liberal-led cities to see just how woke they can be. So just imagine if Congress didn't have this authority and the D.C. Council was left to its own devices, and this dangerous bill would have become law. And while the D.C. Council pats itself on the back for its wokeness, the citizens and visitors to D.C. would suffer even more. This would have been a disastrous issue. It would have had disastrous repercussions for both the safety of D.C. residents as well as so many of our constituents from across the nation, including Tennesseans, that come to visit the nation's capital every day. This week, even the D.C. Council seemed to realize that it shouldn't be left to its own devices when it tried to unsend its own bill. I'm just glad Congress has the constitutional authority to step up and govern in a serious manner. So I want to thank all of my colleagues for their support tonight, and I want to thank President Biden for indicating that he'll sign this common sense legislation. And I'll also say this: I'm looking forward to being invited to this signing ceremony when it happens. Thank you. Senator Ricketts.
Thank you, Senator Hagerty. D.C.'s very existence is in our founding documents. It is a constitutionally mandated seat of the United States government, which means that it belongs to the entire country. People who live and work here. But citizens from all across the country come here to visit, to learn about American history. We have tens of thousands of students. I met with a number of them today who are here visiting our great capital. We have people who come here to interact with their elected officials. The D.C. City Council's actions to reduce the penalties for violent crime, like murder, carjackings, robberies, burglaries, home invasion, was going to make D.C. less safe. And that's why the Congress had the obligation to act. We must ensure that our law enforcement officers know they're supported and back to blue. Victims of crime need to know that they are going to see justice. And our role, as Senator Hagerty said, is to keep people safe. And that's what this was about. A less safe D.C. is not a good thing for our country. If D.C. wants to reduce these penalties at a time that crime is rising, you have to ask yourself the question, what are they thinking? They should take a page, rather, from my hometown of Omaha. Omaha has worked with community engagement and the police to reduce our homicide rate over the last couple of years. That's an effective strategy. Now, certainly, criminal justice reform has merit. We did it in Nebraska in 2015. But reducing the penalties on violent crime is not criminal justice reform. That's not it. That's going to lead to less safe communities. And that's why I'm so proud to be a part of Senator Hagerty's effort here to overturn these bad policies. I want to thank Senator Hagerty for him introducing this resolution and for his leadership on this issue. It's demonstrated that the House colleagues and Senate Republicans are serious about public safety, and this is something that is going to help our community be a better going forward. As Senator Hagerty mentioned, Americans from all over, not only just Tennesseans, but Nebraskans come here. And as governor, I work to keep Nebraskans safe in my home state, and I was pleased to be able to be a part of this effort to keep Nebraskans who travel here safe as well. Thank you all very much again for being here this evening. I appreciate it. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Senator Hagerty.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Ricketts. If there are any questions, we'd be happy to take them. Yes.
Since you all were successful with this effort, do you or your Republican colleagues have additional CRA measures that you're going to hope to bring this Congress?
I'm certain that there will be further CRA measures because there are a number of situations where this administration has overstepped its bounds. That's not tied to this, but it certainly doesn't mean that we're not going to continue to look for situations where our duty suggests we need to fulfill it via using the CRA process. Yes.
Senator, I'm curious, if the D.C. City Council and the mayor work together on a new crime bill, obviously it's going to be up to the Senate whether they want to vote a disapproval measure on it. Would you be open to D.C. reforming its crime code, its crime provisions, if they work within something that would work with you? I mean, basically, the city has argued repeatedly that the current crime code is a century old. They want to update it. Obviously, you didn't agree with the way in which they updated it, but are you open to the city working to pass an updated crime code, or are you going to try and...
No, I'm certainly open to that, but it needs to move in the right direction. This bill moved in the wrong direction. We're in the midst of a crime wave right now. Carjackings have tripled over the past 3 years, and they want to lower the penalties for carjackings. It's sending the absolute wrong message. So by rejecting this, we give the D.C. Council the opportunity to do just as you say. And I look forward to working with the mayor and the council as they think this through and come back with something that I think is a much more that I hope would be a much more responsible take on a situation that has definitely got to be dealt with. We've already got an accelerating crime situation right now. We need to be looking for measures that will deter crime, not incentivize it. Yes.
Senator, were you surprised by how many Democrats voted yes on the bill?
No, and I've not been surprised from the beginning. I remember at the outset of this process, many people said that President Biden would surely veto this bill. In fact, he indicated that he would early on. But as journalists like yourself and many others questioned me along the process, I said, I think it's going to be very hard for President Biden to veto this bill, given the way crime is unfolding here in the district, given the acceleration here. And I certainly believe that the defund the police movement that was launched back during the 2020 election has not proven to be good for America. If you just ask the people here in the District of Columbia, 72% of the District of Columbia residents are with me on this. They don't approve of this bill. They think it sends the wrong message. Certainly that's the case when you take into account the way the D.C. Police Union looks at this situation, the Fraternal Order of Police, every other law enforcement agency are supportive of this resolution that we have passed tonight. Okay. Well, thank you all very much for being here tonight.
Thanks. Sir?